Two-step inequalities are just like two-step equations. We just have to remember to flip that sign when we multiply or divide by a negative. So two-step inequalities follow the same rules of isolating the variable. So you think of it as undoing the operations. So you undo addition and subtraction first with the inverse operation. You always add or subtract first if you can, if it's more than one step. And then you undo multiplication or division with the inverse operation. And then remember this, watch for negative signs. You might want to circle that or highlight that. And then, of course, you isolate the variable, which you're used to. And then you check the inequality sign. Make sure you've flipped it if you need to. And then if you have to graph it, make sure your variable's on the left side if that's the strategy that you use. Okay, so we have some examples here. Again, it's just like an equation that you're used to. You just have to keep that x on the left side. So I'm going to actually use my pen here, and you can draw that if you need to. So we are going to minus 9 on each side. So you're left with 5x. And I still bring that sign down. And then you have is equal to 8. And then we're going to divide by 5 on each side, since that is multiplication. And we're not dividing by negative, so it's x equals 1.6. X, not equals, x is less than 1.6. So it can't be 1.6, anything less than that. So we got this one. We are going to add 3 on each side. So we have 16. I'm going to bring down that sign. I'm going to drop, and we cannot forget it's negative 2x that we're dropping down. Okay, this is why I always tell you to write down what you're doing so you don't forget that you're dividing by a negative 2. And when you say that to yourself, that's going to remind you, oh, I need to flip the sign because I'm dividing by a negative. And so I have x equals negative 8. And again, if they ask you to graph it, then you just graph it like you have been. Okay, and we will do, let's see here. I'm not going, well, let's talk about this one. I'm going to have you do it. But remember, you should be minusing 10 there to start with. And then make sure you graph them. Okay, on this one, I will do this one with you. So we're going to keep everything on that side. So we're going to add 5 first. And so you get 24 is greater than a negative 4p. Okay, and then it's multiplying by negative 4. So we're going to divide by negative 4. So since we divided by negative 4, that's going to remind me to flip the sign, and I'm going to keep the p over here though. And I got negative 6. So I can read this as p is greater than negative 6. So if I go to my graph, and if I put 0 here, then I know the negative numbers are here. Or maybe I'll just put 6 here. So it's going to be an open circle. And I don't want to follow that arrow because the variable is on the right side. So I just go the other way when I notice that. Or if I know it's p is greater than negative 6, these numbers are greater than negative 6. Or you can flip them around. And now you can follow the arrow. Okay, and we'll do this one last one together, and then you're going to do the back page. So we're going to minus 3. Minus 3. And that would be, bring down the sign, maybe, if it'll show up. Yep. And then we have negative 6, and a negative 3 is a negative 9. And then we're going to bring down the 1/2 r. And remember, that is a number, even though it's a fraction, it's a number right next to r. So that means multiply. So we are going to divide by 1/2. And some of you, I would like you to multiply by the reciprocal. But by now, if you don't understand that, I wouldn't do that because it'll confuse you if you haven't caught on to that. So we have r equals negative 18. Now we are not, whoops, gosh, I said equals, darn it. R is less than negative 18. Now think about it. Why are we not flipping the sign? It's because we divided by 1/2. We did not divide by negative 9. In your calculator, you would put negative 9 divided by 1/2. Okay, and then you go ahead and graph that. And then I would like you to go ahead and do the back. Take out a sheet of paper if you need to have more space, because you really need to I do want you to have more space. So if you can fit it over here, but otherwise do not try to write it right in here. That's not enough room. And don't forget to flip the sign and graph it if you need to flip the sign. Okay.